Hey, you guys, this is Chris MINH DOKY, and together with Markbase, I have the pleasure of answering some of your questions. Well, I started playing pretty late. I started playing bass pretty late. I was 15, and I started playing electric bass at 15, and I started playing upright bass at 17. And I know it's late, and it wasn't my plan to become a musician. I just fell in love with the bass. And how that came about is I worked at a music store just to make some money, and they gave me a present. They gave me an electric bass, and which was really cool. I just didn't really know what to use it for, but I went home and plugged it in, and I tried to figure out what a bass player does in a band, and I was listening to my favorite albums with Earth, Wind& Fire, and started checking out Verdi and White, and I completely fell in love with the way he played and bass in general. And later on, I discovered Miles Davis, and I definitely discovered Ron Carter, which totally got me into the upright bass. So it was pretty late, but I had played music before. I started playing classical piano when I was 5, and I started playing classical percussion when I was about 11 or 12. So I kind of had the method on how to start playing an instrument and so on and so forth. My first amplifier. Well, that was way back in the day. When I grew up in Denmark, every bass player had a polytone, a black polytone. And I remember thinking, like, it doesn't sound that good. It sounded like all boxy and stuff. But that was kind of what everybody used. So I was going, all right. So I got one of those. It was kind of light. It was small. It was a little combo amp. Um, and yeah, I never really dug it, but that was my amp for a long time. A polytone. Go figure. Wow, that's a tough one. I feel incredibly fortunate and lucky to have played with so many great musicians. And to single out one or a couple would not, be the whole story. But let's see. I guess uh, one person I should mention is Mike Stern, because he invited me to play in his band when I was 21, and I was living in New York and was scuffling and all this stuff, and he was so kind to offer me the gig, and I started playing with him, and that put me on the map. And so more people discovered who I was and how I played, and that led to me collaborating with so many people, which I would be eternally thankful for and full of gratitude for Mike for not only inviting me into his band and teaching me all that he taught me, but also to put me on the map and put me on the path to play with all these great musicians I've played with. I gotta mention like Randy Brecker and Michael Brecker. Had the fortune to play in both their bands for quite a while, and I also did a little stint in the Brecker Brothers, and also I gotta mention David Sanborn was a trip, and oh wow, and I definitely gotta mention Ryuichi Sakamoto, who completely blew my mind. He opened my ears and my heart to all sorts of music and how to listen and how to arrange and how to react musically too. So definitely got to mention him too. And Trila Gurtu, for sure, he taught me a lot. Um, Borelli Lagan, for sure, also. I mean, there's so many musicians. Also, I gotta put a shout out to my brother Nils Landelki, because he's 6 years older than me, and he was already playing jazz when I was playing funk. So gotta mention him too. And then there's the drummers. As a bass player, drummers are so important, and I've been so lucky to play with so many great drummers that shaped me as a bass player. I gotta mention like Adam Nussbaum and Clarence Penn. but also Jeff Chain Watts, whom I played with in Michael Brecker's band, which was incredible. And he also did some stuff with my trio, and of course Dave Weckl and Dennis Chambers and Trera Gurtu. I mean, drummers are so important for bass players. I mean, the way I look at drummers is it's a drummer is the heart of the music, and the bass are the lungs, and we got to function together, and we are a unit, and we take care of different things. So that's to all my fellow bass players are, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I remember the first time I got hip to Markbase was years ago. I was touring in Italy, and I started to see these cool speakers with the yellow speaker cones in there, and I went, wow, that looks cool. And then I went to a jam session where the bass player was playing a Markbase amp, and I went, God damn, that sounds unbelievably great. It projected great, and it had that still had that warm organic sound. I was like, God damn. And then I started, like, shortly after that, I started seeing them more and more places. And I still didn't have Markbase at home, but I started requesting Markbase amps when I toured. So put it on the rider. So when you play, they would provide the stuff I have on the rider. And I started requesting Markbase amps. So I really got into them. I tried different stuff, and I loved them. And that's how I got into Markbase, and well, never looked back. For the longest time, I used a little Mark II 800 and a 4x10 standard cabinet for my upright electric, my silent bass, and my electric bass. And for my acoustic, I used the CMD combo amp, the 12-inch. And those had been with me for years, and I loved them, and I still love them. And then lately, I switched to the new line, the M58Rs, which are unbelievable. Obviously, you can see I have the 2x10 combo amp with the M58 amp in there, and then I have additional speaker down there, 2x10, if I need like a little bit bigger sound. But generally, the 2x10 is plenty on a gig, and I love it's a combo amp, so I can just easily get around it. And what I love about the new series is first of all, they're unbelievably light. It's almost stupid how light they are. I always do this game when I go out on a gig or go on a tour. I was like, I mean, people are getting hip to it now, but I always say, it's like, hey, can you get my amp over there? And they go, or like, whoa, what's happening? It's unbelievable how light they are. But what's great about the actual amp too is it has the usual scoop stuff and the great possibilities with EQs and stuff, but it also has a flat setting, which I really love, because with my effects sometimes it's nice to switch it to the flat settings. So that's I use the M58Rs and the 2x10s and an additional 2x10 if I need a little bigger sound, and it's all in the M58R series. Well, I mean, what makes Markbase special to me is, of course, first and foremost, it's the quality and the sound of the amps and speakers. It's unbelievable. I mean, really. And now I just tried the strings too. They're unbelievable too. But what is also really, really great about Markbase is they are all lovers of music, and they are all, there's so many bass players in there. They know exactly what we're talking about. If I talk to some of the guys at Markbase, I don't have to explain it. They know what I'm talking about. They understand music. They understand bass, and they can actually, suggest or find a solution before you even ask the question. So it really feels like a family. It feels like we're in this together. It's not a question of a company that make great amps that you work with. No, we are together, and that sensation is really rare, and it's really great, and which makes it so meaningful and such a pleasure to make music with all the guys at Markbase. And when I say guys, it's of course both women and men. I hope you enjoyed these little bit long answers to the questions, but I hope I see you out there. And if there's anything else, give me a shout. Peace.